Hey, what's up guys? So in the last video, we took our application that was pulling my Google Calendar and firing alarms and we split it. We're kind of trying to follow the Unix way of doing one thing but doing it well. And so now we have a process that is pulling my Google Calendar, and whenever an event is about to start, it's gonna pipe that out to standard out. And another process is that standard out is gonna be connected to another process that's gonna receive it on standard in, and it's gonna fire a different kind of alarm, like make it a phone call, the lights, whatever you wanna do. Okay, so we have that, but what is the problem that we have to solve next? Most of the alarms can run anywhere, right? But I have one particular alarm that pushes a notification on my computer saying, hey, click here if you wanna join the meeting. And that cannot run anywhere, that has to run on my computer. Okay, so what's the plan? We're gonna use WebSockets and we're gonna run the polling function that's polling the Google Calendar on AWS. And some of the alarms are gonna run there, right? And my computer is gonna connect through WebSockets and it's gonna also get events on standard out. Once we have that, I can run any alarms I want locally on my computer if my computer is on. All right, so let's see how this would work. Let's put something on AWS. This is my instance, and I'm gonna have my websocketd server listening here. Now a client, this is gonna be my WebSocket client. Now, when a client connects to WebsocketD, you establish a bidirectional connection. And WebsocketD is gonna spawn a process, right? So this is my process here. And this is gonna be my notify event starting process. So what WebsocketD is gonna do is any message that the WebSocket client sends is gonna be pumped through the standard in of my notify events. And any events that are piped out to standard out, WebsocketD is gonna send them to the WebSocket client as a message. This way, it's like we take the standard in and we take the standard out and we join that through a WebSocket connection. Whatever we receive from the WebSocket connection from here is gonna be sent to standard out. All right, so let's first look at how it would look. On one end, I would run in my AWS instance WebsocketD, I would pass in the port and I would say, this is the process I want you to spawn to handle new WebSocket connections. On the other end, I would have to have a client here saying, connect to, my instance.com/ whatever. And what this is gonna have to do is it's gonna have to read a token, send that through the WebSocket as a message so that WebsocketD can pass it as input to this. Once this has the token, remember that it received the token via standard in. So once it has the token, it can start pulling the calendar and the standard out will be piped all the way to this client here on my computer. So this is the diagram that you just saw, right? And this is gonna start printing out. So then I can do something like fire notification. And then I would get that little notification up here saying, hey, join your meeting, click here. So let's see what this client would look like. This is gonna be a Go binary that it's going to receive as a command line argument. The address we wanna connect to by default is gonna be localhost 8080. You're gonna give it a JSON token over standard input. It's going to parse that into this token variable that I have here. Then it's going to build a URL and it's gonna connect to the WebSocket server. Then, as soon as we connect, remember what we saw in the other video, we defer closing the connection. Now, you can ignore this for now, but basically it's saying if the user presses Ctrl+C, I want to listen for that so that I can gracefully close the connection. And you'll see that now. But then I create this read events function. What it does is it receives a WebSocket connection, it returns a channel of events. We've seen this pattern many times already throughout the course of these videos, but we are just creating an events channel and then we read JSON and we pump it in the channel. And then we return that channel. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is we have to write the token to the WebSocket so that it will go to the standard in of our process. Whenever an event is about to start, it's gonna come through this channel and we're gonna execute this case, right? We're gonna encode it to the standard out. You've seen this before, it's just that now we're doing it over WebSockets. Now what I was saying is if the user presses Ctrl+C or you get an interrupt from the operating system, you're gonna write a message to close the connection and you're gonna say this is a normal closure, like nothing happened, I'm just closing the connection. And then WebsocketD can kill our notify process. And then we just log that and we return. We sleep for a little bit just to give it time to write everything in. And now this works, so I'm gonna show you how it works. So I have an event starting now. It's gonna start in 2 minutes, and I'm gonna fire first the websocketd, and then I'm going to run our phone call, and now I'm just gonna edit the video and just wait. I'm just gonna wait. So hopefully it'll fire in a little bit. All right, so there you go. It says it works over WebSockets. It's starting, right? And I can put in any number of alarms that I want. The last thing I want to say to you guys is if you disconnect, you'll see that WebsocketD will kill the process that it forked. And so we're good. Let me show you one last thing. So right now I'm doing something like this, right? I'm saying meetings YouTube, pipe to fire phone call, pipe to post lights. In order for me to do this one has to receive the event from standard input, put it on standard output, and it cannot send anything to standard output that's not events, because it will trip this one, right? Because this one is expecting on its input events that are starting. So in order to do pipes like this, each one of these alarms has to receive the event and then has to pipe it right out. If you don't want to do that, you can do something like this, right? Meetings YouTube, and then you pipe that to a utility called T. And in some shells, you can do process substitution, and then I can pass it to fire phone call, and then I can pass it to close lights. So now fire phone call can print to standard out whatever it wants. It doesn't have to worry because it's not connected like it is here. Right guys, so that's all I have for you today. Obviously this WebsocketD utility, you can use it for any process that you want to do. If you want to just expose a process over WebSockets, it works great. So I hope you liked it. In the next video, we're going to wrap things up by using the Corba library for Go to create a nice command line utilities, and we're going to wrap everything up, and I'm going to publish everything to GitHub so you can start using this if you need it too.